What does it look like when a player comes off an injury-riddled season, disappears from competitive basketball for months, and then walks into a Team USA camp looking like the most dangerous guard in the gym? That is a question a lot of people had about Caitlin Clark, and right now the answer looks pretty simple. She does not look like someone trying to find herself again. She looks like someone who used a layoff to rebuild, reset, and come back sharper. That is why this Team USA stretch has people so excited. The conversation is not just that Clark is healthy enough to play again. It is that she showed up moving with confidence, shooting with rhythm, pushing pace, and carrying herself like somebody who already knows she belongs in that setting. That matters, because after the kind of season she just came through, there were real questions, not about her talent, because that was never the issue, but about how long it would take her to feel fully like herself again once the lights came back on. Last season was rough, and there is no need to pretend otherwise. It was not one clean injury with a clear beginning, middle, and end. It was a kind of frustrating cycle that wears on a player mentally, because every time one problem starts to calm down, something else shows up. That is much harder than people realize. Athletes can usually deal with a single setback when they know exactly what they are attacking. But when the body keeps sending different messages and the return keeps getting delayed, that messes with confidence, rhythm, and peace of mind. Clark admitted that herself. She said those injuries started affecting her mentally, and hearing that from a player as driven and as self-assured as her tells you just how exhausting that stretch really was. What made that honesty stand out is that Clark usually does not spend much time publicly leaning into vulnerability. She is normally measured, composed, and focused on the next thing. But this time, she talked openly about the uncertainty, about how hard it was not knowing exactly when she would truly feel right again, and about the frustration putting in so much work only to feel like her body kept interrupting the process. That kind of answer makes people listen, because it does not sound polished for the sake of sound bites. It sounds real. But the most important part of what she said was not just that the stretch was difficult. It was how she framed what came after it. She did not describe herself as simply back to normal. She made it sound like she feels even better than she did before the setbacks started piling up. And that is a major difference. Back is one thing. Better is something else. That tells you she is not treating the lost time as wasted time. She is treating it like a period that forced her to train differently, condition differently, and build herself back with more purpose. That is exactly how this Team USA camp is being read now. It does not look like someone easing her way back in. It looks like a player who attacked the rehab process seriously, built her conditioning back up, sharpened her skill work, and came into camp ready to compete right away. The footage from early sessions tells that story pretty clearly. The shot looked clean. The footwork looked comfortable. The decision-making looked fast. And maybe the biggest thing of all, there was no obvious hesitation. That is always one of the first things people watch for with returning players. Do they look like they trust their body? Do they attack space naturally? Do they pull the trigger without overthinking? Clark looked like the answer to all of that was yes. That is why so many people around camp started talking almost immediately. It was not one dramatic moment that changed everything. It was the accumulation of little moments that serious basketball people always notice. The shot making in drills, the way she pushed pace without looking careful, the way she moved the ball decisively instead of probing cautiously, the way she seemed to reestablish rhythm with each rep instead of needing endless time to settle in. That is what made the buzz build. Not hype for the sake of hype, but the feeling that everyone in that gym could see she was operating with real confidence again. And then there were the reactions from people around her. That always matters more than outside commentary. When high-level teammates and coaches start responding to a player with that kind of energy, it tells you something. Players at that level are not impressed just because somebody has a famous name. They notice timing. They notice pace. They notice who is making the floor feel easier. So when people around Clark started sounding genuinely excited about how she looked, it carried weight. That was not empty praise. That was recognition. The atmosphere of camp helped too. This was not some soft reset environment where everybody could casually work into shape. There were real games looming, real roles to compete for, and a roster filled with talent. Veterans were there. Young stars were there. Players were trying to carve out space on a team with major expectations. Walking into that kind of setting after such a long absence could have made Clark look careful. Instead, it seems to have brought out the most competitive version of her. She looked like someone who was glad to be thrown back into a high-level basketball environment, not intimidated by it. That came through in her interview as well, when she talked about wearing the USA jersey. It was clear this was bigger than just another event on the calendar. She described it the way athletes talk about lifelong goals that finally come into focus, not in some dramatic way, but in a grounded, grateful way. She made it clear that representing Team USA at this level is something she has imagined for a very long time. And when you connect that to everything she has been through recently, it hits differently. This is not a player casually stepping into a new experience. This is someone who had to wait for this moment longer than expected and appreciates it more because of that. She also did something smart in the way she framed her role. Clark did not talk like someone expecting to walk in and be handed the whole show. She made it clear she understands Team USA is different. The expectation is not that she comes in and becomes a star of every possession. The expectation is that she helps the team win, adapts, competes, and finds the right role within a talented group. That matters because it tells you where her mindset is. She is not trying to turn every appearance into a solo statement. She is trying to fit her game into winning basketball at the highest level. Ironically, that approach may be exactly what makes her even more dangerous. There's another layer here too, and it is one people have not ignored. Clark not making the Olympic roster in the past may not have turned into a public drama, but that does not mean it meant nothing to her. Players remember those moments. They may not turn them into headlines, but they carry them. So when Clark walks into Team USA camp now and looks this comfortable, this ready, and this sharp, it naturally feels like part of a bigger response. Not an angry one, not a bitter one, but the kind of response elite athletes often give when they decide to let their play do the talking. That is why there's already so much interest in what this could mean beyond just the current Team USA run. Clark has spoken about the bigger picture and about future international opportunities. And that matters because it shows she is not treating this as a one-off chance to prove she is back. She is clearly thinking long-term. She is thinking about where she fits in the next chapter of USA basketball. She is thinking about what she can build toward, not just what she can do right now. And if that is the mentality she is bringing to the table, then this camp is not just a comeback checkpoint. It is the beginning of something larger. The young core discussion makes that even more interesting. When you start putting together names like Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, Angel Reese, and Kiki Iriefin, you can see why people are excited about where this program could be headed. That is talent, personality, marketability, and basketball skill all wrapped into one rising group. Clark is not just part of that conversation anymore. She is one of the central figures in it. And when she looks this confident coming off a difficult stretch, it only makes the future feel bigger. Now bring that back to Indiana, because this is where Fever fans should be paying even closer attention. Everything about this Team USA stretch feels like a preview of what a fully reset, fully confident Clark could bring back to her WNBA team. Not just the shooting, not just the flashy passing, but the floor general version of her. The version that controls tempo, puts teammates in easier spots, and changes the geometry of the game because defenses have to react to her range and vision at all times. That is the version of Clark Indiana needs most. Last season, when Clark was unavailable or compromised, the ripple effect hit the whole roster. That is, what happens when your primary organizer is gone? Other players can still compete, but the structure changes. Movement looks different. Spacing looks different. Confidence looks different. When Clark is healthy and commanding the game, the rest of the offense has a better chance to breathe. Wings can cut with more purpose. Shooters get cleaner looks. Tough, physical players can find more efficient scoring chances because the defense is already stressed before the ball even gets to them. That is why players like Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham matter so much in this conversation. Hull's off-ball development and defensive work become more valuable when she is paired with a creator who sees the floor early and rewards movement. Cunningham's shot-making and edge become more dangerous when she is next to a guard who can organize the chaos and force defenses into uncomfortable decisions. If Clark really is coming back as a stronger, more polished version of herself, those connections start to matter even more. Indiana would not just be getting its star back, it would be getting the version of its star that can elevate the whole shape of the offense. There is also something to be said for how Clark has handled the broader noise around the sport. She has stayed fairly measured publicly, even in areas where she could easily choose to become louder or more polarizing. That kind of maturity matters. It matters in a locker room. It matters in a long season. And it matters on teams where expectations are high. Leadership is not always loud. Sometimes it is a player who keeps things centered, keeps the focus where it belongs, and lets the basketball stay at the center of the conversation. From everything we have seen, Clark appears to understand that. And honestly, that is part why this return feels so promising. It is not just that she looks healthy. It is that she looks settled. She looks like someone who went through a difficult period, learned from it, trained through it, and has come out the other side with a clear idea of who she is and how she wants to play. The injuries may have interrupted her, but they do not appear to have shaken her identity. If anything, they may have sharpened it. That is the biggest reason fans should feel good right now. What is showing up in Team USA? Camp does not look like a player nervously trying to prove she can still do it. It looks like a player who remembers exactly who she is, understands what she has worked for, and is ready to push forward again. That is a big difference. One mindset creates caution. The other creates momentum. So when people ask what changed, the answer is probably not just one thing. The body got healthier. The conditioning improved. The skill work kept going. The perspective deepened. The setbacks made her appreciate the game differently. The waiting made the opportunity feel bigger. And now all of that is showing up at once in a Team USA environment where everybody can see it. That is why the excitement around Caitlin Clark's return feels real. Not because fans were desperate to hype anything they saw, but because the version of her showing up right now looks purposeful, prepared, and dangerous. If this is a Clark that Team USA is getting, and if this is a Clark Indiana is about to get back for the next chapter, then